Myself, Sai Vishal, and I am from CSC department. My subject is on Python programming. My topic is on class variables. Python class variables. In object-oriented programming, when we design a class, we also use instant variables and class variables. Class attributes can be defined into two parts. Instant variables. If the value of a variable varies from object to object, then such variables are called instant variables. Value of variable changes from object to object, then such variable is called instant variable. Class variable. A class variable is a variable that is declared inside of a class but outside of any instant method or init method. A class variable is defined as init method, and in this variable the variable is declared inside the class. What is a class variable in Python? The value of a variable is not varied from object to object. Such types of variables are called class variables or static variables. Class variables are shared by all instances of a class. Unlike instant variable, the value of a class variable is not varied from object to object. But if we want to include the school name in a student class, we must use the class variable instead of an instant variable, as the school name is the same for all students. So instead of maintaining the separate copy in each object, we can create a class variable that will hold the school names so all students can share it. We can add any number of class variables in a class. We can we can store all the student names in the particular class, that is school name. Create class variables. Class variable is declared inside of class but outside of any instant method or init method. By convention, typically it is placed right below the class header and before the constructor method and other methods. Modify class variables. Generally, we assign value to a class variable inside the class declaration. However, we can change the value of the class variable either in the class or outside of class. Note: we should change the class variable's value using the class name only. Class variable and instant variables. The following table shows the difference between the instant variable and the class variable. In Python, properties can be defined into two parts. Instant variable. Instant variable value varies from object to object. Instant variables are not shared by objects. Every object has its own copy of the instant attribute. In instant variable, the value changes from object to object. Class variables Here we can see the difference between class variables and instant variables. Instant variables are not shared by objects. Every object has its own copy of the instant attribute. But in class variables, these variables are shared by all instances. Instant variables are declared inside the constructor that is, that is the init method. Class variables are declared inside the class definition but outside any of the instant methods and constructors. It is gets created when an instance of class is created. It is created when the program begins to execute. Changes made to these instant variables through one object will not reflect in another object. Changes made in the class variable will reflect in all objects because we are mentioning a particular group in a one class. Class variables inheritance. In Python, properties can be defined into two parts. When we use inheritance, all variables and methods of the base class are available to the child class. In such cases, we can also change the value of parent class variable in a child class. We can use the parent class or child class name to change the value of a parent class variable in a child class. Wrong use of class variables. In Python, we should properly use the class variable because all objects share the same copy. Thus, if one of the objects modify the value of a class variable, then all objects start referring to the fresh copy. Okay, thank you.